Hey guys, and welcome back to Mad About Skin. In today's video, we are talking the COSRX Aloe Soothing Sunscreen. This is a product which has been speculated widely about online. There's a whole host of rumours and leaks and concerns around the use of this product and whether it's going to be living up to the SPF of 50+, which the brand claims. So many of you guys have reached out to me asking for my thoughts and feelings on it, sharing any information that I might have, and that's what I want to do in today's video. We're going to pick it apart and we're going to look about what's the truth behind the COSRX Aloe Soothing Sunscreen and whether it's safe to continue to use. So sit back, relax, and let's talk COSRX sunscreens. Now, before we jump into this video, I want to just call out very quickly some positivity and some great news coming out of the Korean sunscreen industry. I know for the past 18 months, it seems like it's been every single month there's been another brand that failed to live up to expectations, failed its testing. We've talked about some issues around the industry, the regulators and the laboratories themselves, and it all seemed to be very much a flow of negative information. Recently, however, I think we've kind of turned a corner and we've started to see total different transparency levels from brands. People being open about the testing and sharing with us the consumer information. We've seen talk of new regulations and tightening of the existing regulations. And of course, we've seen reformulations and brands finally passing their SPF testing. And this is a huge thing and something that should be celebrated, because whilst we never want to see a scandal, if some positivity can come out of the other side of it, I think that has to be a good thing. I recently did a video capturing the Korean SPFs which have passed their third-party testing. And I'll leave a link to that video up there. So if you're still unsure at the end of this video whether you want to continue to use the COSRX Aloe Soothing Sunscreen, don't worry, because there's loads of others that are tried, tested and verified that us as consumers can trust, and I captured those in that video, so definitely worth a watch. But let's cut the waffle and start on COSRX. So how did we get here? As a brand, COSRX have had a number of sunscreens over the years. Quite a few have been discontinued, pulled from the market, but the one that kind of carried throughout their whole cycle was the COSRX Aloe Soothing Sunscreen. This is something that people loved because it gave a gorgeous light feel, a veil of protection that didn't feel sticky or like it was going to clog the skin. It also gave a beautiful level of hydration, which really appealed to people that had drier skin types. All was good until we hit the Korean sunscreen scandal, and I think all brands kind of started to take a second look at their products. A couple of brands have been more transparent than others, and I think COSRX are one of the final holdouts in terms of that lack of transparency. There are some really strict anti-defamation laws in Korea, which can make it difficult for brands to be as transparent as maybe they'd like to be. But I think we've seen a whole change in that approach, with brands such as Purito leading the way. I don't think COSRX have been as transparent as they should be, and this has led to a lot of this speculation just going into hyper overdrive, and almost because of that lack of transparency, people doubting the product even more. COSRX have stated that they're going through a testing process on the Aloe Soothing Sun Cream at the moment, and they're at the midpoint of this testing. They haven't shared any initial results with us, which I feel they could have done based on the fact that when you go through sunscreen testing, it has different phases, and at each phase you can kind of get a feel to where the ballpark figure is going to end up at. It won't give you a concrete SPF value or range of values, but you can kind of see the way the trajectory lies, and I think that, for full transparency, COSRX could have updated us on that. They say they've got full faith in the product, which is why they're continuing to sell it and market it, but they're going through testing to kind of allay any fears that people might have. This was all fine and well until the Australian subsidiary, the franchisee of the COSRX brand, came out and said that they felt the SPF wasn't going to be an SPF of 50+ and was probably in the 30 to 38 range. The reason this kind of stuck with consumers is because I feel that we all have a gut feeling that this is where it's probably going to end up. And I'll explain later on in the video why that's my gut feeling, because it's more than just a sense that sits behind that. This release was disputed by COSRX, that have said that absolutely they have no worries about their SPF. It's completely safe to use and that they believe it's going to deliver an SPF of 50+, but they need to wait until the full testing is revealed. For me, if a brand has any doubts at all, and they clearly do have doubts, otherwise they wouldn't be doing all this extra testing again, they'd just be letting third-party organizations test if they wanted to, then I feel that they should remove the product temporarily from market so that people aren't continuing to buy a product that may later on need to be recalled, refunded, or may not be delivering what the brand promises. However, that that's kind of how we've got to where we are today. Because of the lightweight, elegant feel of this product matching the same feel that Klairs, Purito, and some of the other failed SPF brands have, this has led to a lot of people doubting it. And of course, what was said by the Australian franchisee of the COSRX brand just sent that into overdrive, with a lot of people feeling that kind of chimes with their own experience. I'm going to share now my thoughts and feelings on the product, but these are literally that, just my own thoughts and feelings. And I think when it comes to sunscreen, you have to have 100% faith in the product that you're using, that it's delivering the right SPF level for your own environment, the UV levels wherever you are in the world, any underlying skin conditions, and your own skin tone. These are all things we have to factor into our purchasing decision, so I would always encourage people to make their own assessment of any product that they use. And if there's even a tiny fraction of doubt, reach for that video I linked earlier on the tried, tested, and verified Korean sunscreens, because any of those will give you that locked-in, guaranteed protection. When it comes to COSRX, they are of course a Korean brand, so they've been subject to the same regulations, laboratories, and all the testing which has gone on and led to so many failed outcomes for other brands. We've talked on this channel before about the host of institutional issues and challenges surrounding the regulations, some of the labs, and how maybe they haven't always been that favourable towards the consumer and putting the consumer first. Of course, COSRX are absolutely part of that whole regime, being a Korean tested and owned company, and so we need to bear that in mind throughout all of this. Not all Korean sunscreens have failed on that environment. Of course, there have been the ones I linked in the video earlier which passed, and so doesn't mean just because they've been tested under the same regulations and laboratories that it's an automatic fail. That isn't the case. However, that is something that I think sits in people's minds throughout this. There are two key differences between the COSRX Aloe Soothing Sun Cream and the other Korean sunscreens on the market. First of all, it contains alcohol. Now, a lot of people look for alcohol-free options in their skincare because they're worried about it stripping and drying their skin. When it comes to sunscreen, I actually think alcohol can be a real benefit to us, the end user, because it allows for a much more elegant application whilst maintaining a high level of SPF protection. Traditionally, the higher the SPF protection, the thicker, the more occlusive, and the stickier the product actually was. That's because the increased number of filters and percentages of those filters needed to achieve that SPF value added to the thickness and the texture of the product. By adding alcohol into the formulation, that would thin it all down and again give for a more light and elegant application, which is what the consumer craves. Most Korean sunscreens that have failed their testing were alcohol-free, so they were claiming to deliver a really high level of SPF protection, but didn't have any alcohol to offset the stickiness and the occlusivity that you can get from those additional filters needed to achieve that. With the COSRX, it does include quite a significant amount of alcohol in the formulation. This means that it's much more likely to be able to deliver that SPF, high SPF that they promise, while still maintaining that elegant feel. So I do think there's a difference between this product and some of the other ones where we said actually that elegant feel was almost the brand lying. That was the tell that the brand was lying to us, because you can't deliver that with that high level of SPF. You can if you add alcohol into the mix, which is why a lot of Japanese sunscreens which do use alcohol in their formulations have been able to deliver a high SPF value with that gorgeous, elegant feel that we all crave. Second of all comes the UVA rating. So UVA are the rays which age you, UVB are the rays which burn you. SPF relates to UVB, and we use a PA, or Korea uses a PA rating to measure the amount of UVA protection given. As standard, most Korean brands just slapped a PA 4+ on the bottle, which is the highest level of protection. Again, in testing, a whole suite of them failed to deliver that UVA protection that they put on the bottle. When it comes to COSRX, they never actually claim to have the highest UVA protection. They claim to be a PA3. That is below the highest level of protection given. And that clearly shows that as a brand, rather than just slapping on any old, rated the highest value possible to get those sales in, they've actually reflected what the testing that they've conducted has shown. So again, whilst it's not concrete evidence, I think the fact that they're not just pitching at the very highest level of UVA protection show that they clearly considered the labeling and the level of protection given in a product. Overall, what's my thoughts and feelings on the product to where this is going to end up? I don't think we're going to see SPF values as low as the Purito and Klairs. Klairs came in at between 12 and 18. Purito came in at between SPF 19 and 28. I don't think we're going to see those lower SPF values and such a big divergence from what was promised and what was delivered. And that's because of the addition of that alcohol. That does make such a material difference. And this is why I feel that the Australian franchisees' claims of between 30 and 38 is probably where this product product is going to end up. We don't know what the SPF value is, and we won't know until the testing is revealed. And I do really hope that COSRX do release their testing, whatever the outcome is. This is all conjecture, and I would obviously say to people, wait until the final testing results are revealed before making your own final assumptions. In the meantime, as consumers, we have to do what's right for us, and we have to have full trust in the products that we're using. I think the lack of transparency surrounding this from COSRX is somewhat alarming, and again feeds into a lot of the worry and the speculation online. I personally won't be reaching for this product. It's not one that I did anyway, because whilst it's badged for sensitive, calming and soothing, it's actually packed full of alcohols and has a whole host of fragrance in there, which whilst not problematic for everybody, I certainly don't think are things that you'd expect to see in a product badged as calming and soothing, because both alcohol and fragrance can be very triggering for certain skin types, particularly those prone to sensitivity. I don't actually understand the hype around this product, and it's not one that I particularly gravitated towards in the past. Until we see that data, and until COSRX are fully transparent in releasing that data, this isn't one that I will continue to use. I think we're so blessed to actually have Korean sunscreens on the market which are tried, tested and independently verified, and so I just think it makes more sense to reach for those than it would for these until we know the final outcome. Obviously the decision is yours to make, and I'm only here to give that guide. I would absolutely encourage people to make their own purchasing decisions based on all the factors they need to, and ultimately you have to have 100% confidence in the SPF that you're using, and if a product falls short of that, I think it's time to look for another one that can deliver that. I would love to know your thoughts and feelings, so please share them in the comments below, alongside any other sunscreens which you're trying and loving at the moment. While you're down there, if you could give this video a big like, it would support me and help the channel. I'd be eternally grateful. Wherever you are in the world, guys, stay safe, stay well, and look after your skin. Take care. Bye.